after a moment. Telat yang di situ ya? Karena belum live kan? Ya. Belum dikasih abang-abang.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wassalim wa barik ala nabiyina Muhammad. Other agenda, I will give it to moderator, to Bu Mega Hidayati, Ph.D. Time is yours. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. So previous introduction, I think we have know that this international seminar is represented by Lembaga Pengkajian dan Pengalaman Islam, Institution of Islamic Study and Practice of Muhammadiyah. So we have to thanks to Allah who always give us healthy and opportunity to meet online in this situation. And for today, we have things about the role of Muhammadiyah in addressing humanitarian issue. So as we know that Muhammadiyah is one of the biggest organizations in Indonesia who providing medical, educational, and also social services for society. It's not only for Indonesian society, but also international society. But not many people who knows about these services, including students who has been studying in Muhammadiyah University. For these reasons, institutions of Islamic Studies and Practice of Muhammadiyah in these occasions, we're talking about the role of Muhammadiyah in addressing humanitarian issues. So we have two wonderful speakers here. The first one is Professor Hilman Latief, Ph.D., who will talk about the uniqueness of the Muhammadiyah movement in Indonesia, Islam in Indonesian Islam, and also Rahmawati Husein, MCP, Ph.D., who will talk about Muhammadiyah and humanities. So before I give them a time to speak, I introduce both of them. The first one, Professor Hilman, right now is a Vice Rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta and the Chairman of Lazismu, Muhammadiyah Institution on Zakat, Inpa, and Sadaqah. He has been a faculty member for many years in Faculty of Islamic Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Professor Hilman completed his undergraduate studies at State Institute for Islamic Studies, Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. He earned master degree from the Center for Religious and Cross-Cultural Studies, Gajah Mada University, Indonesia, and also from Department of Comparative Religions, Western Michigan University, the United States of America in 2003 and 2005 respectively. Professor Hilman Latief obtained PhD degree from Utrecht University, the Netherlands in 2012. He was a research fellow at KITLF, the Royal Netherlands Institute of Southeast Asians and Caribbean. In 2014, he was granted Alumni Achievement Award from the School of Arts and Sciences, Western Michigan University. Among his publications are, these are books, Islamic Charities and Social Activisms, Welfare, Dakwah, and Politics in Indonesia, Comparative Religions in Medieval Muslim Literature, Post-Puritanism, Islam, dan Urusan Kemanusiaan, etc. So, beside this book, many articles have been published by many journals, reputable journals, in international journal, in the name of Professor Dr. Hilman Latief. So I cannot mention all of that because many publication from him. Okay, the second one is Rahmawati Husein, MCP, PhD. She has been a faculty member for many years in the Faculty of Political Science, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. She completed her undergraduate study at English Department, Gajah Mada University. She earned a master degree from University of Cincinnati, United States. She obtained PhD degree from University of Texas. And in 2015 to 2012, she is Vice Chairperson of Disaster Management Center of Muhammadiyah. 2012-2017, she is Vice Chairperson of Humanitarian Forum East Indonesia. In 2018, advisory groups, she becomes Advisory Group Center Emergency Response Fund, CERF of United Nations. Among her publication is Challenges in Conducting Disaster Simulation. So for today we have very great speaker and who really explain deeper about the role of Muhammadiyah in humanitarian issue. So for the first occasion, we will give to Professor Hilman Latief, Ph.D. Please pass yours now, Prof.
Thank you, Bu Mega. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you Lppi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm very honored for being here to give a short talk about Muhammadiyah movement. And of course, it is delightful also to meet some audience from different regions in Indonesia as well as overseas. I think this is very interesting forum for us, as we are going to highlight the development of Muhammadiyah as an Islamic movement in Indonesia. First of all, I would like to share some thought why it is necessary for us to observe and explore the experience of Muhammadiyah and what kind of movement Muhammadiyah is, and how to project this movement in the near future. Allow me to give my PowerPoint, my presentation, if I may. Okay. Actually, Muhammadiyah is one of the largest Muslim civil society organization in this country. It was founded more than 100 years ago and played their roles in energizing society, especially community-based religious groups in Indonesia. For many decades, Muhammadiyah has engaged in various projects such as education, social welfare, including humanitarian affairs. So the rise of Muhammadiyah is not only about how Islam emerged in Indonesia, but also how Islam is interpreted in the local context of Indonesia based on the local values as well as recreated to be socially and politically relevant to our society. And Muhammadiyah is one of the Muslim NGOs that has played profound roles in humanitarian missions, in Da'wah mission or Islamic propagation, with its types of Da'wah model. As we will see, Muhammadiyah pays a lot of attention to the social activities. And if we look at the, is it okay, my presentation? Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, that's
yes,
clear.
yes.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, ask that the kameranya mati. Okay, allow me to give a brief and concise historical background, the context that become the context how and why Muhammadiyah emerged. Some observers like Alwi Shihab and Professor Alwi Shihab and Professor Jainuri suggest that Muhammadiyah emerged during the Dutch colonial era. At the time, the Muslim communities remains in the peripheral positions in education, in healthcare. They face a lot of difficulties. How to improve society socially and economically. At that time, the rise of Muhammadiyah is concomitant with the rise of nationalist movement in the countries, and therefore the discourse within this organization cannot detach from the framework of nationalism. That is one point. Another point I would like to make is that competitions took place during the colonial era The Dutch colonial government at the time, of course, provided the facilitation or tried to facilitate other religious communities as well as Muslim communities in some cases. However, offers the provision for the other religious communities was also supported by religious missionaries at the time. Christianity, for example, with both Catholics and Protestants, gained sufficient support from Dutch colonial government. However, within Muslim communities, they are still struggling at the time how to deal with the healthcare issue, to the economy, to the politics. If we look at the history of Muhammadiyah movement, one issue that they addressed at the time was how to provide education for the inlanders, okay, for the communities, for the Muslim communities in particular. And here is example. The Christian communities, although they came later to the countries, they only had the second house or hospitals in 1889. This belongs to the Catholic, Protestants. Now, so this is the oldest hospital in Jakarta, and also Pantirapi in 1928. But the point here is that this is the context. How Muhammadiyah developed in the early 20th century. So the idea is to compete Christian missionaries, and therefore Muhammadiyah emerged as Islamic missionary groups or da'wah with its own method from the beginning of establishment. Because when Ahmad Dahlan, the founders of Muhammadiyah, formulated the idea of Islam, he also learned from other religious communities. The competition did not involve violence. The competition did not engage in illegal activities. Dahlan, instead, support Muslim communities how to compete in other fields, in various fields with other religious groups. In education, for example, that is the main attention of Dahlan, and therefore Dahlan at the beginning founded early Islamic education even before he set up Muhammadiyah. What is Muhammadiyah, and how does the Muhammadiyah Islamic thought work in our society, and what kind of ideas promoted by Muhammadiyah? If we look at the history as well as document within this organization, we see at least some ideas, main ideas within the organization. First of all, because Muhammadiyah was inspired by Muslim thinkers, the Egyptians, Muhammad Abduh and Rashid Ridha, in particular, stimulated Dahlan to translate Islam in a more rationalistic way. Okay, rationalism is needed. Okay, Islam is not only a doctrine. Islam is not only a teaching, a normative teaching, but also Islam is a religion that should be understood and translated and implemented in our society. Therefore, reasoning is necessary here. Without reasoning, Muslim communities will be trapped, okay, in the rites or rituals, or only in religious practices, without increasing kind of awareness that a lot of problems in our society, poverty, less of education, backwardness, less less access to education, as well as bad in healthcare services and so forth, because we do not have sufficient physician, for example. So what is interesting about Dahlan is he tried to introduce new type of Islam at the time by adopting what was developed by Muslim thinkers such as Muhammad Abdul and Rashid. And the second idea is Muhammadiyah is promoting ijtihad. Ijtihad means struggling how to produce new ideas to resolve the problem of society. What is the problem of society? Poverty. And therefore, at the time, Dahlan encouraged his disciples, his pupils, to understand the Quran rightly and try to implement, the tafsir or the understanding in the practice. And therefore, a lot of ideas at the time. Even ijtihad is also translated in how Dahlan tried to discover the right direction of qibla, direction of salat at the time, to find the qibla using kind of sort of methodology, astronomical methodology. He discovered the right way, where we should face during the salat at the time. The third idea is the social practices. Dahlan at the beginning, believed that Islam should be part of the worldly matters, not only hereafter. Okay, we should pay attention to the poor, the children, the orphans, for example, and therefore he highlights some verses in the Quran and emphasized the importance of the verses to be understood and reinterpreted socially. The fourth idea is most of the Muhammadiyah at the times came from the urban individual, or from urban people. In Yogyakarta, in particular, mostly educated Muslim. They are living in a cosmopolitan society, and some of them also came from middle-class families. If you look at here, the way they dress differ from the commoners in Yogyakarta at the time. It's a bit representing middle or upper middle class. Okay, and the ideas of reform, if we find in other histories, were part of the middle class. And luckily, a lot of educated people also support the Muhammadiyah movement. So that is the idea. And therefore, we cannot detach the Muhammadiyah movement as an Islamic movement from the role of educated people from the middle class. And you can see also the types of movement right now in current times, where Muhammadiyah mainly developed in major cities in Indonesia. How Muhammadiyah Islamic practice is translated. As I mentioned before, Dahlan pay attention to the poor families as well as street children and orphans. And therefore, in the early 20s, we found schools, orphanage, as well as bibliothek or library set up by Muhammadiyah to stimulate intellectual awareness, the increase of intellectual awareness among children at the time. Muhammadiyah introduced the society to the lower families, to the people in the Kauman as well as other regions of Yogyakarta, about the literacy. They should read, okay? They should understand the book that will open the gate or the windows of the words. It is necessary and interesting. Why bibliothek is becomes Muhammadiyah priorities project at the time. Here is the picture. Okay. Apart from this, and this is very important, and I think this is related to Dr. Rahmawati Husein's presentation later, is the establishment of PKO, kind of relief for the poor by utilizing zakat or distribution of zakat funds. So the practice of zakat in the past usually organized by a small committee in the mosque or even by the leaders of the communities, and the zakat funds distributed by people, by the Muslim community for the community leaders, okay, or the religious leaders. But the time Muhammadiyah tried to reinterpret, not only reinterpret, but to remind society, to remind Muslim society that zakat has been regulated in the Quran in eight types of beneficiaries: fakir, miskin, mu'alaf, amil, sabilah, and so forth and so on. So this is also part of the reform of the Muhammadiyah movement and part of the dakwah of Muhammadiyah. Okay, this is just example how a gathering was held during the distribution of zakat as well as charity. Okay, but right now, as the the problems increasingly complex, poverty issues, inequality in particular, are very obvious in our society, in the countries. Muhammadiyah also tried to make an ijtihad, to reasoning, to promote a new reasoning how to translate Islamic social mission by addressing issues of inequality, not only within the society, the class of society, but also the regions. Okay? The eastern part of Indonesia, the western part of Indonesia, the isolated regions, the outer islands, and so forth and so on. A lot of projects run by Muhammadiyah at the local level as well as the national level. How to bring, okay, the vibrant engagement of society in the distribution of zakat and sadaqah to deserve beneficiaries outside there, including the outer island or isolated region. This is just a picture how Muhammadiyah's project run by Lazis Muhammadiyah, or Zakat Organization of Muhammadiyah in Molucas. Okay. If we go to Papua, we will also see the projects for education. Okay, and Muhammadiyah provides some both to accelerate the education or access to education. Okay, in the Kalimantan also, we see how the isolated areas in the forest were also reached by Muhammadiyah. So it becomes richer, the perspective utilized by this organization to formulate da'wah. And apart from this, one should not forget that as Muhammadiyah interact intensely with other religious communities, interfaith dialogue, interfaith cooperations have been, coloring the Muhammadiyah movement. You see, some Muhammadiyah activists do not hesitate to engage with other religious groups, for the social project or the humanitarian project. I think Bama, she can talk further about this. Apart from this, Bama, I believe, will deliver this topic. But my point is, well, of course, there are outside there still a lot of challenge for this organization, for Muslim communities in general, because poverty becomes increasingly complex. Inequalities also become increasingly obvious, as well as new era came to our society digital society, big data issues, and cyber crimes, and new challenges for the Muhammadiyah institution, including schools. If you look at that Muhammadiyah schools in the past, in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and even early 1990s, were among the favorites, okay, school respected by. But right now, also challenged. New schools emerge, yeah, and become new option for the society. And here, Muhammadiyah face also a competition, how to be a competitive schools. In economy, digital age has been intervening our society, inserting new values to our civilization, and Muhammadiyah should also adjust the perspective how to deal with such a new development in technology. Therefore, dakwah Muhammadiyah is now also reformulated to be in line with the needs of the society, including in the higher educational institution. Thank you very much. That's my presentation. I return this to Mbak Mega. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Hilman. So from Professor Hilman's presentations, we got several informations about the history of Muhammadiyah, how Muhammadiyah start with the spirit of reformations. It's not only in Islamic teaching, in religion and other things, but more on worldly matters. And the reformations also, it's not about only Islamic communities, but also Muhammadiyah have interacted with the international and local organizations or national or international organization or institutions that without consider about this is Muslim, they are Muslim or not Muslim. So the Muhammadiyah is very open in the Reformation movement with other organizations. And Professor Hilman also talking about the competitions and challenges, especially challenges right now that is faced by Muhammadiyah. So there are, for example, the complicated situation right now that changed from the beginning of the development of Muhammadiyah, and then competitive in several issues, economics, maybe politics also, and challenges also related to new values in society, and also Muhammadiyah right now is not only formulate reformations, but re-reformations more than reformation right now because of these situations. It means that Muhammadiyah will not stop their movements to give or provide benefits to society. Now we will discuss about the other things that is related also with the previous issue. Bu Rahmawati, this is your time.
Okay. Thank you, Bu Mega. I will just share the, okay. Let me go. Okay, thank you, Bu Mega. Good morning, everyone, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah who always give us blessed and mercy, and for today that we still healthy and safe and sound from all the pandemic that been hitting the world in almost more than 4 months up to now, 6 months. Yeah, we already suffer from the pandemic. In this regard, I will discuss or present on the Muhammadiyah and humanitarian crisis, and I will talk about the COVID response as well. But for those of you who never know the Muhammadiyah, I will just give Muhammadiyah in fact and data. So for especially for our overseas student, Muhammadiyah, as Professor Hilman Latief mentioned, is founded in 1912 in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Muhammadiyah often mentioned as an FBO, faith-based organization. Sometimes people categorize as an NGO because it's also non-government organization. And often also Muhammadiyah considered as CSO, civil society organization, because we work in the community and also at the grassroots level. And our network, we have present in 34 provinces, 417 districts, 8,100 villages or neighborhood level or ranting in Indonesia, and more than 3,000 at the sub-district or kecamatan level. And we have 20 council or agencies, government within government, and Muhammadiyah have a secondary organization. So for those who are still learning Muhammadiyah, Muhammadiyah has a wing organization. There are 7, namely Aisyah is for women wings, and then Hizbul Waton is the scout, and then Muhammadiyah Student Association, and youth organization Pemuda Muhammadiyah. Nasyatul Aisyah is young women organization. A college student is EMM, and Tapak Suci, the martial art of Muhammadiyah. So these 7 organizations have a structure like Muhammadiyah organization. So it's present from the national level down to the branches level. And Muhammadiyah has institutions all over the places throughout Indonesia. Muhammadiyah has 635 orphanages, elderly, nursery home, and disability home. And then Muhammadiyah also have 437 saving credit union, 30,000 mosque, 457 hospital and clinic, 176 university and college or diploma type institute, and then 19,000 schools and 103 Islamic boarding schools. This is all the institutions as part of the Da'wah Muhammadiyah, and this spread throughout Indonesia from Aceh to Papua. And for those who not familiar with the structure of Muhammadiyah, the Muhammadiyah is like government within government. At the central board, there is a central board of Muhammadiyah at the national level, and the office is in Jogja and Jakarta. And then there are 20 council and agencies, like what I mentioned. And this one is agency, there are 20. And this one is the wing organization, which structure is also from central board to the branches. So at the profession level is the same. We have the structure is similar to the central board, the district level. The difference is the number of the councils or the agency. It really depends on the capacity of each government at the each Muhammadiyah board at the different level. So the council of and agencies in Muhammadiyah is called Majlis and Lembaga, and in the government called ministry or agency. So there are 13 majlis or councils, including laws and Islamic thought, religious teaching, higher education, primary and secondary education, and then cadre or human resource, social welfare, economic and entrepreneurship, community, health, and so on. So the agency. And I'm at the vice chair of disaster management center, is the MDMC, Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center, is one of the agencies, and Pak Hilman is in Lazismu, the charity donation or the philanthropy of Muhammadiyah. And what already mentioned by Pak Hilman, Muhammadiyah, as long as it's been founded, it always worked at the humanitarian action. Muhammadiyah, especially Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center, are created or established or set up for responding any natural hazard or social conflict. It based on the values of principle that been taken by Muhammadiyah, and to provide the social justice and social welfare. This very important to see the principal values of Muhammadiyah is to help the needy. Fadzalikal ladzi yad'ul yatim wa la yahubbu ala ta'amil miskin. So it's interpreted not helping the miskin or the poor is not only the poor in terms of the low income, but it's also the poor because they are poor by caused by disaster, caused by conflict, caused by development issues. Yeah, so it's here Muhammadiyah principle is helping others and helping the poor to be able to survive, to be able to have their dignity, and also to have the human. Why Muhammadiyah and humanitarians? And many different literature, it's already research that local faith community or organization or faith-based actors are uniquely placed to engage in humanitarian action. Why? Because they enjoy the close proximity to or are part of the population. So Muhammadiyah is always among the communities and within the community. So they are not away from the community. So it's the proximity is one of the character of the faith organization. And then second, the faith organization have developed special relationship of trust. Muhammadiyah been having a trust for almost 100 years of the community. They donate to Muhammadiyah. They know Muhammadiyah built the schools, the hospitals, the clinics, and so on. And they have the trust, yeah, to develop more, as well as they get inside access to community members. So compared to other NGO, the faith-based organization enjoy the special relationship of trust because they are there, they are inside, and then they have the access to community members compared to many other actors. And then the faith-based institution are frequently volunteers. They are not paid. All the Muhammadiyah members are voluntary work. They are not paid. They never get the salary. But from the local faith institution, they always present before the crisis, and often they are the first responder when disaster hit, whether it is natural like hurricane, tsunami, earthquake, or man-made displacement due to war and conflict, and they stay after the crisis. So the local faith institution are key provider of assistance and protection before, during, and after. And why FBO again become so important or become key provider of assistance? Because in many cases, most churches and established charity platforms like Lazismu also tend to be physically located in the center of community, particularly in rural or remote areas. And then religious leaders and faith community can provide basic services such as shelter and protection in the wake of disaster, as well as serve as a focal point for information, provide psychological or psychosocial support, and facilitated conflict resolution. So the religious leader is not only provide the good, but is also provide services and help the community. They may also act as a bridge to influence village and local government leaders. So in many times, Muhammadiyah been very strongly advocate the policy, especially in regard to the humanitarian issue or social issues. In the past decade, starting 2010, when Muhammadiyah Disaster Management funded, every year Muhammadiyah Muhammadiyah responded between 20 to 40 but since 2017, we responded from 40 to 70 in a year annually. Yeah. So we responded from Aceh to Papua, whether it is flooding, flash flood, eruption, earthquake, haze, or smoke, yeah, and then landslide, yeah. So everywhere we have been present in all the provinces in Indonesia. If there is a event or disaster or conflict, we also have responded conflict, like conflict between Ahmadiyah and Syiah in Sampang, conflict ethnic in Lampung, Bali Nuraga, and conflict based on religious like in Papua. So we responded everywhere, and this is because we believe that we need to respond regardless, or we are not considering any regardless of race, ethnic, and religion. So the principle of humanitarian, there are 4 principles: is humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence. So that's we take very strongly to help the community that is needed. And Muhammadiyah is not only helping within the country, but it's also working abroad. So internationally, we also help the people in Palestine, and then in the Philippines, Nepal, Myanmar, Bangladesh. We've been working in several response with conflict and disaster. I just give that some of the picture. The first one is in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. We send our team of doctors, public health, and nurse, yeah, to help to respond the medical need or public health in Rohingya camp, yeah, in Cox's Bazar. We also work in Myanmar and Rakhine. That was in 2016. I was having a chance to visit many camp, Rohingya camp and Sidwe in Rakhine district or Rakhine state. And then it's also in Nepal during the earthquake. So we also present there helping not on medical, but it's also psychosocial. Okay. So I want to talk about the Muhammadiyah response on COVID because it is very current, yeah, recently, and it is very important for those of you to know what Muhammadiyah do for the COVID. So Muhammadiyah responded by setting up the Muhammadiyah COVID Command Center. It is assigned by the Central Board of Muhammadiyah on March the 5th. So it's very early. So it's almost 5 months ago, March, April, May, June, July, 4 months ago. We been starting the Muhammadiyah COVID Command Center. And there's also set up Muhammadiyah COVID Command Center throughout Indonesia. So out of 34, we have 31 provinces that have the Muhammadiyah COVID Task Force that responsible for coordinating all responses within Muhammadiyah network, the strategy, the policy, the advocacy, the action. So that's the role and responsibility of Muhammadiyah COVID Command Center. And then coordinating with the government task force, the gugus tugas, yeah, at the national and the subnational level, not only at the national, but at provincial and district level. Because we have to be very, working together or collaborate government, because the government is the main actors, and then NGO is the complementary to government. So we are working with the government task force to ensure that we can respond the COVID-19 well. And then we also partnership with donors or INGO. So far for COVID, we work with the DFAT Australia, with the UNICEF, with the Solidar, Switzerland, and Palu in Central Sulawesi, since we still working the rehabilitation and reconstruction in Sulawesi, the Central Sulawesi, but they also suffer for COVID. So there is a special program. And then we also collaborate or partner with WHO and Temasek for ensuring the health sector in COVID. And then we also have to collaborate and network with other NGOs in Indonesia. So far, as of 10th of July 20, we've been, Muhammadiyah has already dispersed 12 million US dollar is 180 billion rupiahs. That's not include the money from the donors. This is all mostly from the Muhammadiyah institution, from the university, from the donation, and from the things not including the health sector or hospital. Yeah, out of Muhammadiyah Asia hospital budget is already dispersed 20 million US dollar, equal to 180 billion rupiahs. And we already reached out the 3.3 million person to get the mask, yeah, face mask, disinfectants, yeah, for prevention, and then hand sanitizer distribution, education, and then also providing food, and then also responding or having service to the patient, either confirm or positive. And then we also help the students, yeah. And then also we have provide the portable washing station. Yeah. As of 10th of July, the 78 Muhammadiyah and Aisyah Hospital already responding COVID, and we already served the Muhammadiyah Hospital more than 2,000 and 200 cases, and then confirmed positive. And we still also have the inpatient, and more than 500 beds is already used for the positive, confirmed positive patient. And we this is some of the program that we did with the Australian government, is supporting for the prevention and promotive activities like call center for health, psychology, and religious. And we also have mobile awareness that run around at the kalurahan or the village level, yeah. And then we also have the webinar COVID talk, yeah. Every week we have 4 different COVID talks, so you can join and also follow through the Facebook, Instagram, and or Muhammadiyah channel. So you can also follow the different type of different topic of COVID talk. And then we also publish in different article. We try to also do the promotive and prevention. And this is some of the picture of washing simulation, washing station, mobile awareness, education, billboard, pamphlet, and banner. This is all education. And Muhammadiyah working, as I said, not only working with the donor, INGO and NGO, but working internally within the Muhammadiyah network. And then Muhammadiyah is also working with the other, especially through the Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center. We work with the Humanitarian Forum Indonesia. Humanitarian Forum is a forum that consists of humanitarian NGO, faith-based humanitarian NGO. So we work together, a network to share the knowledge, to share the lesson learned, to share the best practices, to be able to respond any disaster and responding any conflict or pandemic in Indonesia or others. And then we also setting up the MDMC, also proponent of the Sejajar. The Sejajar is network of network, the TSO network. There are 600 NGO become the member. So this is the way the Muhammadiyah work. The Muhammadiyah see that working is part of the value or the principle to, as I mentioned in the very beginning, to help, yeah, to help the needy, to help the poor, to help the suffer people, to help the most vulnerable people. So it's very important. Muhammadiyah is not the only one. So it's complementary, the principle of complementarity. Complementarity is we are complement to government, complement to other NGO, complement to other actors that been working in various area. And then second is localization. As much as we can, we want to ensure that localization been practice. So it's not a top-down, but how we responded any humanitarian need and crisis at the local level as much as we can. And then the third one is collaboration and network. It's very important to ensure the strengthness of the Muhammadiyah. And then the fourth is people-based center. So we help not because of we need to help, but we also have to consider the need of the people. So the people been put at the front, yeah. It's very important to understanding the need of the people. And then the fifth is sustainability. In responding any humanitarian need, it's very important to understand or to help the people with considering the sustainability. It's not come, hit and run, but it's also looking at the long term. So sustainability is ensuring the long term of the people, and also the long term of the development in general. And then the last thing is resiliency. In helping or ensuring the response, is very important to understand the ability of the community to bounce back, to be resilient, and we help them to gain their dignity and then the strength of their own. So it's very important here that we facilitate them. It's not only directing them, but facilitating them. So this is how the way the Muhammadiyah work, and very unique because Muhammadiyah is a big organization, but it's also small in terms of how the way they work. Muhammadiyah is faith-based, but it's also doing a lot of things. It's not very common done by other faith probably, yeah, in terms of disaster and also the humanitarian need. And then it's also unique because Muhammadiyah is also working with other actors. That's not always, yeah, many faith institution working with other donor or an NGO or private to help the people. I guess this what I will end with that, Bu Mega.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's offered to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we got many information about the actions of Muhammadiyah, especially in humanitarian crisis from Bu Amma. So Bu Amma also informed us about the structures in Muhammadiyah and work networks from locals to nationals within the organizations and also outside the organization from locals and also national levels. So in these presentations, there are so many things, but Bu Amma mentioned or emphasized about the uniqueness of the Muhammadiyah movement, especially in humanitarian issues. And also she gave us about the contribution of Muhammadiyah in the recent issue, that is COVID issues. And we can conclude that Muhammadiyah movement, if we're talking about the level of actions, then we can see that from the locals, national, internationals, in the levels of practice levels and also scientific levels. So also about advocacy to the state or to international policies such as United Nations. And we know that from the presentations, Bu Amma mentions about 7 wings in Muhammadiyah organizations, and Bu Amma is more talking about only one wings that is very give a contribution a certain issue. So you can imagine that the other wings also doing such kind of things and very unique also. So it's very comprehensive actions to the society with the same spirits about equality, about humanity, impartiality, and also independency. So from here, I think we have a very big pictures of the Muhammadiyah actions in humanitarian issue, and I invite several people to questions to the speakers, and we have about 30 minutes. So the committee said to me that we until 11:30. So who wants to give questions? Hello? Okay, I opened to the participants to give questions to the speakers. I think you can unmute first.
You can write in the chat box,
Yeah, or you can
raise your hand.
Yep. Is there any question? Is there any question for participants?
Oh, there is. Someone raised their hand. Okay. Please. Husein Gibril Musa or something?
Okay, I cannot see it actually.
I can see it. Husein Gibril Musa raised his hand.
Okay, please give a question directly to the speaker.
Thank you so much for the committee and also the presenter. It's a nice opportunity to be here and learn about Muhammadiyah, also the teaching of Ustaz or Prof. Ahmad Dahlan. My question is to Prof. Hilman Latief. As we know that Muhammadiyah now has a vision to go globally or to reach the international society or international community. So what the strategy that has been used by Muhammadiyah movement or Muhammadiyah organization to reach the international community, and what the thing that can differentiate the Muhammadiyah movement from other Islamic and the other Islamic organizations and movements.
The sound is cut off. Can you repeat again? Or if you do not mind, you can also write in the chat box, because we cannot hear your voice.
My question is going to Prof. Hilman Latief. My question is, what the strategy that has been used by Muhammadiyah movement to reach the international society? And the second one, that's what the thing that can differentiate Muhammadiyah movement from other organizations? Or I will write it down also. Yeah?
Okay, I think Prof. Hilman can get the question. Okay, another question before we continue to Prof. Hilman, and also I think Bu Amma also can answer these questions because it's related to strategies. Other question? Okay, if there is no other questions, we can. Okay. Okay, I think Prof. Hilman, before another questions, please answer that question. Is about what are strategies that has been used by Muhammadiyah to international communities. So this is about strategy. And also Bu Amma, I think you can also answer these questions. Okay, please Bu Amma and Prof. Hilman. Prof. Hilman?
Is he still there?
Prof. Hilman? Prof. Hilman. Where is Prof. Hilman? He's still, but unmute. Okay, Prof. Hilman? Please make it unmute. Okay,
I might not in the front of laptop.
Bu Amma, I think you can start. Okay. What are the strategies? Yeah.
Okay, so the strategy of Muhammadiyah is to help more people by having reorganized all the vision and mission through different majlis or council and agency. And what the strength of Muhammadiyah is focusing on health, education, and also humanities. So through that, Muhammadiyah want to give the difference to the world. And how Muhammadiyah could be accepted by international, what we usually been accepted because we share the same stories about the need of the to help the people or to increase the capacity of the people. So we are not talking about Muhammadiyah related with the very fundamental, very narrow ideas, but be more on social welfare movement. So the strategy is focusing on the social movement. By focusing on the social movement, it will address the social economic issues that faced by community, and it will relate to other organizations. That's why Muhammadiyah been accepted. I give the example for what the humanitarian, since we are not in Indonesia, you know, at the eastern part, not many are Muslim. So when disaster happened, Muhammadiyah is still there. So Muhammadiyah or MDMC not choosing, oh, we only help the Muslim side, but we are not helping non-Muslim side. So we have to help what the people in need. So what the strategy is helping people regardless any religion, ethnicities, yeah, or skin or colors, yeah. So we are not helping only because they are Muslim or they are Muhammadiyah, but we are helping different ethnicity groups, yeah, colors and religion. That's the strategy. So helping to become a good social movement, yeah, by providing services like education, health, and the development like economic, yeah, empowering economic, yeah, through the there is one of the Majlis or Council of Economic Empowerment or social community development. So to help the community to increase their capacity. The community can be the fishermen, the farmers, or the labor. So they not only working on health and education, but it's all different type of the community. So that's the strategy. And what I feel that the international can relate, because Muhammadiyah is not choosing a specific target group, but it's more on universal values of humanity. So it's very important to force the universal values of humanity because people need it. People need the human right, the basic human right, food, shelter, yeah, health, education. It's all the basic need that has been addressed by Muhammadiyah. So the difference with other organizations, Muhammadiyah consider is a modern Islam. So Muhammadiyah is not based on the Islamic traditional boarding schools, but Muhammadiyah use universities and co-education schools like the high school, senior high school, but many Muslim organizations, especially, they are based on the traditional Islamic boarding school or traditional teaching. Muhammadiyah considered as a progressive modern one because they are based on more on the try to combine both religious and science in the same teaching. Yeah, so you see in University of Muhammadiyah the co-education. It's not separate between male and female, and also open to different values and also different thoughts to open their mind. So that's Muhammadiyah been very well known of. That's why Muhammadiyah have 176 universities, because the university is more open. Yeah, although there are many organizations have university, but they are different with Muhammadiyah because Muhammadiyah introducing Islam and science in integrated way. That's the first one. And then the second one, the structure or the organization of Muhammadiyah is considered modern in terms of more structure. Many Islamic organization or other organization because I also join part of the Humanitarian Forum. The member are the Catholic organization, Protestant organization. Muhammadiyah is structure, meaning the management or the more structured organization from national to branches. There are not many well structured like Muhammadiyah that have branches and then we are connected. And we are tested during the COVID because we try to have the contact or using the online webinar or Zoominar to coordinate our branches throughout Indonesia. We managed to do it because the organization been structured at the provincial level, at the district level, branches level. So this the different as well, Muhammadiyah. The third one, we always not putting Muhammadiyah or ourselves in the opposition of government. Many NGO try to put themselves in the opposition of government. And Muhammadiyah in the past history is always complement to government. We are not compete with government, but we try to complement what the government do. Like the schools, we contribute 10% of the schools in Indonesia. Yeah, higher institution is the same. We also contribute 10% of the higher institution in Indonesia. That's a big contribution, but we are not competing in terms to do the opposition to government, but we complement what government done, and then we try to compete in a good way, compete in result or outcome, but not oppose what government do. So what we try to do is compete in the result, compete in the outcome, compete in the process, but we are not opposing as or put ourselves in opposition to government. That's probably the difference between Muhammadiyah, what I feel, what I process, and what we've been doing so far. So there are 3 points: the structure, the institution, and then the status or the position. It's very important to understand. And the last one, Muhammadiyah is still voluntary. I've been all over the places. I'm almost invited every month to speak abroad, overseas. And then they always said that there are not such organization like Muhammadiyah. You work voluntarily in Muhammadiyah, but you do it good. I mean, you do it professionally. So we are volunteer but professional. I always said that we are volunteer but professional, meaning that what we do, especially in terms of the Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center, we are not paid, we are working voluntary, but it doesn't mean that we do it carelessly, but we do it professionally, meeting the standards. Yeah, the standard, the international standard, or for humanitarian action, for example, we meet the standard. So how to work between voluntarily and professional, it's very important, and make Muhammadiyah different. Yeah, so that's probably that I can answer your question. Thank you for the short but difficult.
Thank you very much, Bu Ama. And I remember my experience when I present about Asia. It's only about Asia at that time to the foreigners. And I present that, and they are really surprised because of this is very unique organization. It's only one wings actually of Muhammadiyah. So we can imagine that the strategy is really unique. And I think from the Bu Ama is really clear about the strategies. But please, Prof. Hilman Latief, have you joined us?
Yes, I am.
Prof. Hilman? Yes. So the question is, Gabriel, question about the strategy that has been used by by Muhammadiyah. I think you can read it in the chat. So Muhammadiyah has mentioned, so the key factors that differentiate Muhammadiyah from other Islamic movement and organization to be accepted by international community. So what are the strategy of that?
Yeah, thank you very much. And this is very good question, Gabriel, and very challenging, because now Muhammad is also challenged by the international movements, the international Islamic movement. How to differentiate Muhammadiyah from other Islamic movement and how Muhammadiyah formulated its strategy. First of all, I would like to answer here by mentioning that Muhammadiyah is a reformist Muslim organization. Muhammadiyah starts from the local level, the community-based activities. Now, its vision expanded nationally and even internationally. Of course, there's some homework that we are going to do or we have to do in the near future. First of all is introducing the mindset of Muhammadiyah as a reformist movement. The main ideas, especially in the current world where conflicts, okay, and war took place or have been taking place in different regions, especially in the Muslim world. The conflict, the tension between Muslim countries, for example, in the Middle East. This is also our opportunity. And therefore, Muhammadiyah start in the past decade, at least 10 years ago, starts to start translating, the document of Muhammadiyah, the main ideas, the visions of the organization into other languages, especially Arabic and English. This is necessary because Muhammadiyah is a unique Indonesian movement, although inspired by other Islamic thinkers from the Middle East, but Muhammadiyah has been able to translate the notion of Islam, the spirit of Islam, into socially, economically, inspired institution like including education institution, healthcare institution, hospital, clinics, financial institution, and this is also needed. Okay, so it is expected that Muhammadiyah can influence and can give the views to other Muslim countries whose Islamic activisms are characterized by sort of violence, okay, radicalism, as well as conservatism, in a way that Islam is only translated as a restricted religion. Okay. That's one point. Another point is notion of moderatism. As Dr. Rahmawati mentioned, that Muhammadiyah is a moderate organization, try to reconcile some conflicting issues in the country, state issues, regulation, law, religions, Islam and the state, and so forth and so on. So we are working on this and producing a lot of documents who are, unfortunately, most of them are still in Bahasa Indonesia, and this is our homework, and we are still doing translation project for this. The third issue is Muhammadiyah also engaged in different humanitarian affairs overseas, as Bu Rahmawati mentioned, for humanitarian affairs, for peace talk, and so forth and so on. In Southeast Asia, Muhammadiyah attempts to be part of the peace talk in the Philippines, okay, as well as in southern Thailand. We also communicate with other exposure and global engagement of Muhammadiyah can contribute to the global communities. The strategy is not only activism, but also ideas. And therefore, the formulation of ideas and discourse within the organization, okay, ideas of humanitarian issues, ideas of poverty eradication, ideas of Islamic society, and so on and so on. So, this also encouraged Muhammadiyah to be involved in the international arena, including in humanitarian missions in Myanmar, okay, in Bangladesh, in the crisis taking place in overseas. Okay, of course we have limits. Okay, we have limits. Our resource also have a limit, and therefore we do what we can do. Okay, we make a cooperation with other partners, including for the Global Fund, for ideas, for issues, or healthcare issues, a lot of things. Now, this is also still a challenge for Muhammadiyah, how to be leading in one aspect, one field in humanitarian. And Dr. Husein, with her colleagues in the Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center, has attempted to make MDMC more professional, okay, to be accepted internationally, or to be accepted professionally in the international communities after receiving kind of training, workshop for humanitarians led by international agency. There's also strategy. The strategy is not instant. Okay, it's long process, and we are working on it. I think that is my response.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Hilman. So if we talk about what are the strategies, there are so many strategies, and also the strategies develop time by time. And if we look at that, the keyword of factors of Muhammadiyah to be accepted in international level is that about modern movement, no target group, so it's all for all peoples without considering the backgrounds, and then complete the governments, cooperation with other actors, and also it's not only about ideas, it's not only about actions, but both ideas and actions. Okay, so I think it's very comprehensive answers, and then maybe in the next time there is also other strategy, because the challenge that is faced by Muhammadiyah is very various. So how about the other? We have still about 5 minutes. I think if there is a question from the participants, please. You can raise your hand or you can chat. Okay, I think we all have many informations for today about Muhammadiyah and humanitarian issue. And you can, if you not have much information, if you want much information about this, then you can go to the website of Muhammadiyah, and you can go to the some people who really involved with these actions. So it's not stopped in this seminar, so you can continue your questions by emails, because two speakers have the emails in the website of OMY. Before I give to the MC for today, so Gabriel, you will get a book from Lppi, because you give a question for today. We really hope that there are so many questions for today, but because of the times also, so I think we close this discussion, and I give back to the MC if there's no question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gift, and also thank you so much to Prof. Hilman and also Prof. Rahmawati for the clear and comprehensive answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for Professor Hilman Latief and also Bu Rahmawati Husein. And this is very, I think it's very huge issue, but also very comprehensive discussion. So we can continue in other times. And we give applause for both of them in online. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Muhammadiyah is like an part of the ecosystem environment. Okay? It can develop. It can also, decline. Okay. So, as part of the ecosystem, it is also necessary for the Muhammadiyah movement to revitalize its function, its society, how to address the strategic issues, how to formulate new ideas, how to make innovation. So Muhammadiyah is an Islamic movement, and movement is framed within organization, and organization need innovation, infrastructure, and also human resource. So the ideas of Muhammadiyah can also be promoted through new technology, new innovation. And this is the spirit of ijtihad. And I think right now Muhammadiyah is trying to revitalize its function in the challenging world right now. So that is my comment.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Hilman. Closing word from Bu Ama.
I think I'm happy with the discussion, and we could continue in the future, that because Muhammadiyah is growing as a organization with 100 years. There are a lot of dynamic in it, so we can always discuss and then see the best practices, lesson learned, and challenges that we face. That's all.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for both speakers. And we close these discussions and we continue to the other occasions. Okay, so see you another times and another place. We hope not online, but offline also we can discuss after the COVID break. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu Mega.
Okay,
thank you everyone.
Salam.